Welcome to DriverDTrains. Thanks for stopping by. I'm your host, DriverD. Our conductor and brakeman, Scratchy-C, just bad ordered one of our boxcars. In my last video, I showed you how to use and customize JMRI throttles, including how to configure the throttle function buttons and set up keyboard shortcuts to run your trains. If you haven't already seen that video, be sure to check it out. In this video, I will show you how we can use the WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps with JMRI and DCC-EX to take advantage of our JMRI custom configurations. This will make using WiThrottle and Engine Driver with DCC-EX even more powerful and convenient. In my next video, we will look at how we can use some different types of physical devices with JMRI and DCC-EX as throttles to operate our locomotives. All of these videos are part of a series on using JMRI to control our trains. This initial series of videos will focus on JMRI's DecoderPro app and throttles for running our locomotives. I'll come back to the PanelPro app and turnout control later. Be sure to check this video's description for links to the other videos in the series, as well as the various websites and products I mention here. Also, if you are enjoying the videos, please leave a comment and hit the like button. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I guess we're not going anywhere anytime soon, so pull up a chair and we'll watch some railfan videos in the crew lounge. Using WiThrottle and Engine Driver with JMRI and DCC-EX. Now that we've learned how to use JMRI's DecoderPro app to program our locomotives and add them to our locomotive roster, and learned how to customize JMRI throttles and functions, let's see how we can take advantage of what we've done by using the WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps with JMRI and DCC-EX. We'll also look at how to export our roster settings from JMRI to DCC-EX and access them from there as well using the WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps. Here are all the railfan hotspots we'll be streaming today. First, we'll check out how to start JMRI's WiThrottle server and check out JMRI's web server while we're at it. Next, we'll tune in our WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps to JMRI, similar to how we connected them to DCC-EX. We'll channel surf in the WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps until we find our locomotive rosters and see how we can use them in the apps to control our locomotives. Finally, we'll rewind the video and see how to export our locomotive rosters to DCC-EX so we can use them even when we're not running JMRI. And of course, we'll run some trains. I'm betting this break won't last long, but this is a short episode and we can fast forward through the commercial advertisements, so we should be able to finish the whole show before someone comes looking for us to get back to work. Using WiThrottle and Engine Driver with JMRI and DCC-EX. Step 1. Start JMRI's WiThrottle and web servers. Now that we've used JMRI's DecoderPro app to add some locomotives to our roster and configured all our locomotives function buttons for JMRI throttles, let's use the WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps with JMRI to run some trains. While we're at it, we'll look at how to export our JMRI locomotive roster to DCC-EX. Our discussion today will build on the work we did setting up JMRI throttles in my last video, number 5C, as well as our first experience using the WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps with DCC-EX in video number 4C, adding Wi-Fi to DCC-EX, and video 4D, configuring DCC-EX Wi-Fi. If you haven't already seen those videos, be sure to check them out. I'll include links to the relevant chapters in each video in this video's description. JMRI, like DCC-EX, includes a built-in WiThrottle server we can use to control our trains and layouts. This server supports the WiThrottle protocol, which was created by Brett Hoffman, who created the WiThrottle app for iPhone and iPad. The WiThrottle app is available from Beth Hoffman on the iOS App Store. The WiThrottle protocol is also used by other Wi-Fi throttles, including the Engine Driver app for Android devices, as well as some physical throttles, such as the train control systems TCS, UWT 50 and 100. I'll include links for both the WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps in this video's description. In order to use JMRI's WiThrottle server, we must first activate it. To do this, we launch JMRI's DecoderPro app and make sure that the roster window is active. We then select Start WiThrottle Server from the Actions menu. This will open a WiThrottle window pane in JMRI and start the WiThrottle server. In the WiThrottle window, we will see a message that JMRI is listening on our computer along with an IP address. If for some reason JMRI says it is listening on None, then we need to manually start the WiThrottle server by selecting the WiThrottle window and choosing Start Server from the WiThrottle menu. We will then see the server's IP address in the window. There are a couple of other items in the WiThrottle menu we can look at. The first selection in the menu allows us to start or stop the WiThrottle server, as we have already seen. The next item in the menu opens a window that allows us to select which turnouts and routes we can control with our Wi-Fi throttles. We are not going to cover turnouts and routes in this video series. I will come back to those in later videos when we explore the PanelPro app. The last item in the WiThrottle menu allows us to set some preferences for the WiThrottle server. The only one we are going to look at today is the checkbox that says Start Automatically with Application. If we select this box and save the change, then JMRI will automatically start the WiThrottle server every time we launch DecoderPro, so we can use WiThrottle or Engine Driver as soon as JMRI boots. There is one other thing we can do before we connect our Wi-Fi throttle to JMRI for the first time. If we want to be able to use the Locomotive graphical icons we added to our Locomotive roster in the WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps, we need to start JMRI's web server. To do this, we make sure the roster window is active and select Start Web Server from the Actions menu. As I mentioned in a prior video, JMRI allows us to control our locomotives and railroad over the internet from a web page. We won't be going into detail on the JMRI web server in this video, but if you're curious, after we start the web server, we can open our web browser to the default web server address of localhost:12080 and look around. When the JMRI web server is running, WiThrottle and Engine Driver will import our locomotive icons into their internal rosters so we can use them in the apps. Moreover, in some instances, the apps will remember the locomotive graphic icons for future use, even when the web server is not running, or when we connect to DCC-EX directly instead of JMRI. As with the WiThrottle server, there is a setting in JMRI Preferences on the web server page that lets us have the web server start automatically with application if we so choose. Now that we have both the JMRI WiThrottle server and web server running, we are ready to connect our Wi-Fi throttles to JMRI. Step 2. Connect WiThrottle to JMRI and our locomotive roster. Now that both JMRI servers are running, we can connect the WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps to JMRI and control our trains. We will connect the apps to JMRI the same way that we connected them to DCC-EX in prior videos. For the WiThrottle app, we select the Settings option from the bottom of the screen. Then select Server Configuration from the menu on the left. Then at the top of the screen, we will select whatever server or message is listed in blue letters under the Current Server heading. If we have previously used WiThrottle with DCC-EX, the server will likely be DCC-EX. We will now see a list of available WiThrottle servers. If the JMRI WiThrottle server is running, we should see a list of servers called My JMRI Railroad, or if you have given your railroad a different name in JMRI's preferences, then you will see servers with the name of your railroad. The WiThrottle app will refresh every few seconds, and when it does, it will add another entry to the list of JMRI servers, adding a number after it, so soon we will have a screen full of them, all with different numbers. It doesn't matter which one we choose, they are all the same. If for some reason we don't see the list of JMRI servers, we can enter the JMRI WiThrottle server IP address and port number in the WiThrottle app manually. We can find the IP address and port number in JMRI's WiThrottle server window. Once we select one of the JMRI WiThrottle servers, the WiThrottle app will connect and return us to the settings screen. We are now ready to select a locomotive or locomotives to control using the WiThrottle app. Note that at the bottom of the screen we will now see a new selection option called Web Server. This is our connection to the JMRI web server that we started previously. If we click on Web Server at the bottom of the screen and then click on My JMRI Railroad, or whatever name you've given your railroad, at the top of the page, WiThrottle will open up a web page for our JMRI railroad. If we select all entries from the roster menu, we will see our JMRI locomotive roster on a web page in the WiThrottle app. We're not going to spend any more time looking at the web server today, but you can explore it further if you like. For now, however, let's press Settings at the top left corner of the screen to exit the web server window. Now, let's select the Address option at the bottom of the screen. This will take us to a window where we can select which locomotives we want to control. If we click on Roster at the top of the screen, we will see all the locomotives from our JMRI locomotive roster, along with their graphic icons. We can now select one of our locomotives and click the Set button in the top right corner. If we now select the Throttle option at the bottom of the screen, we will go to the Throttle window, where we will see a throttle slider along with buttons for all our locomotive's functions, filled out with the text labels we assigned in JMRI in the last video. If we now go back to the Address window and select the Recent option at the top, we will see that the locomotive we just selected, along with its graphic icon, is at the top of the list. If we now go back to the WiThrottle app roster window, release the current locomotive, and quickly set and release each of the other locomotives in our roster, we will soon see them all included in the recent locomotives list. What's nice about this is that the WiThrottle app will remember our recent locomotives, including their graphic icons, as well as all our locomotive function buttons, even when we don't use JMRI. So if we connect the WiThrottle app directly to the DCC-EX WiThrottle server, even if we have not added our roster entries to DCC-EX, the WiThrottle app will still let us select those locomotives from the recent screen, and we can still use all our saved locomotive functions. However, we can also export our locomotive roster to DCC-EX, which will include all the function button settings, but not the graphic icons. We'll look at how to do that in step 4 of this video. But first, let's look at Engine Driver. Step 3. Connect Engine Driver to JMRI and our locomotive roster. Now that we've looked at how to connect the WiThrottle app to JMRI and import our locomotive rosters, let's do the same thing with Engine Driver. In order to use Engine Driver with JMRI, we need to make sure that its connection protocol is set for WiThrottle and not native DCC-EX commands. The default setting is the WiThrottle protocol, so it will only be different if we have changed it. When we launch Engine Driver, we will see the server selection screen. The top portion of the screen shows the servers that are currently active that Engine Driver can see. Below this are listed servers that we have previously connected to. Assuming that we are using JMRI with DCC-EX and have started the JMRI WiThrottle server, we will see both the DCC-EX server, assuming that our command station has Wi-Fi installed and configured, and the My JMRI Railroad server, or whatever name you've given your railroad, in the list of discovered servers. We'll select the My JMRI Railroad server by tapping on it in the Discovered Servers list, and Engine Driver will connect to JMRI. If we then press the Select button at the top of the screen and click the Server Roster Radio button in the selection window, we will see all the locomotives from our JMRI locomotive roster, along with their graphic icons, assuming that the JMRI web server is running. If we now tap on one of our locomotives, Engine Driver will open a throttle screen for our selected locomotive, including a throttle slider and buttons for all our locomotive's functions with the text labels we created in JMRI. If we press the button at the top of the throttle window where our locomotive's name is displayed, it will take us back to the roster window. If we now click the radio button at the top of the list that says Recent Locos, we will see the locomotive we just selected at the top of the list. If we now press the button to release this locomotive and then select and release the rest of the locomotives in our roster, they will be added to the Recent Locos list. As with the WiThrottle app, we can now connect Engine Driver directly to DCC-EX on the DCC-EX WiThrottle server, and Engine Driver will show the locomotives from our roster in its list of recent locos. Unfortunately, Engine Driver won't remember all the locomotive function buttons. However, we can export our locomotive roster, including all the locomotive function buttons, to DCC-EX. We'll look at how to do that next. Step 4. Export locomotive rosters to DCC-EX. Now that we've seen how to use the WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps to access our locomotive rosters from JMRI, let's see how we can copy those rosters to DCC-EX. We'll make sure that the DecoderPro locomotive roster window is active in JMRI and select Roster Export to DCC-EX from the DCC-EX menu. Note that the exact name of this menu, DCC-EX USB in this case, will depend on the name we gave our connection to DCC-EX in a prior video. So the name of the menu on your computer might be different from what is shown here. This will open up a window with a text list of all the locomotives in our roster, along with their assigned functions. We will need to copy this text and paste it into the myautomation.h tab in the EX command station sketch in the Arduino IDE. So let's select all the text in the window by using the keyboard shortcut Command or Control A, and then copy the text by using the keyboard shortcut Command or Control C. Now let's open our EX command station sketch in the Arduino IDE and use the three dots menu at the right hand side of the tab bar to select the myautomation.h tab. Remember, the Arduino IDE sorts capital letters before lowercase letters, so this tab will be listed near the bottom of the menu. We then need to scroll to the bottom of the code in the myautomation.h tab and paste the lines of text we copied from JMRI by selecting Paste from the Edit menu or using the appropriate keyboard shortcut. If we haven't previously created a myautomation.h tab, we can do that now in the three dots menu by choosing New Tab from the top of the list. We need to make sure we name this new tab to be exactly myautomation.h, all in lowercase letters except for the first A in automation. If we are creating a myautomation.h tab for the first time, we also need to type in 2 lines of code before we paste the text we copied. The first line will say Auto Start, all in capital letters, and the next line will say Done, also in capital letters. We can now paste the lines of text we copied from JMRI. Once we have pasted the text into the myautomation.h tab, we can upload the sketch to the command station by clicking the Upload button in the upper left corner of the IDE window. Remember, this is the button with the right pointing arrow. After the code finishes uploading, we can quit the IDE. Now we can connect directly to DCC-EX in the WiThrottle and Engine Driver apps, and when we select the roster button in the locomotive selection screen, we will see that all the locomotives we copied from our JMRI roster are now in the DCC-EX roster. If we then select one of the locomotives to run, we will see all the locomotive function buttons and text labels we added in JMRI are now also available in DCC-EX. Step 5. Let's run some trains. Well, that was a short break, but we had some good laughs. I was getting tired of watching videos anyway. So grab your things and let's go run some trains. All aboard! What's next? Using physical controllers with JMRI and DCC-EX. In my next video, we'll look at a variety of different types of physical controllers we can use as throttles with JMRI and DCC-EX to operate our locomotives. In later videos, we'll look at some of the additional ways that we can customize and configure JMRI, as well as some more JMRI features specifically designed for DCC-EX. We'll also look at some tips and tricks for how we can manage our JMRI locomotive rosters. We're getting near the end of this first series of videos on JMRI, but there are still a few more topics to cover. So keep a steady hand on the throttle and watch for clear signals, because life on the railroad is never dull. So until then, thanks for watching. Scratchy, why did you bad order that boxcar? You needed to inspect the load. Why? What was in the load? Catnip. All aboard!